from Washington, this is VOA News. Iraqis vote despite violence. More trouble in Ukraine. I'm Ray Kouguell reporting from Washington. Ballot counting began immediately at polling stations across Iraq after the voting ended on Wednesday. Electoral officials say more than 50% of registered voters turned out, despite a series of election day attacks around the country that left at least 12 dead. Yeranian reports from our Middle East Bureau in Cairo.
Observers from the Arab League and the European Union were present in most polling stations, along with observers from local non-governmental organizations. It was the first parliamentary election in Iraq since 2010 and the first since U.S. troops withdrew in December 2011. Despite sectarian violence and tensions between Iraq's Sunni and Shiite communities, voting took place normally in most parts of the country, except predominantly Sunni Anbar province, parts of which are under control of Sunni insurgents. Yeranian for VOA News, Cairo.
Ukraine's interim president says his government is helpless to quell a growing pro-Russian separatist movement in two eastern regions. And he says the situation has deteriorated to the point that Kiev cannot control its own troops. Alexander Turchinov's admission came Wednesday at a meeting with regional governors in Kiev. He singled out mounting difficulties in the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, where he said some military units are cooperating with terrorist organizations. The International Monetary Fund approved a 2-year, $17 billion aid program for cash-strapped Ukraine. The IMF's executive board approval clears the way for the immediate disbursement of $3.2 billion needed to prevent Kiev from debt default as it teeters on the brink of bankruptcy. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is in Africa for talks aimed at halting violence in South Sudan and the Central African Republic. Secretary Kerry arrived Wednesday in the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa, where he'll be meeting later today with the foreign ministers of Ethiopia, Uganda, and Kenya to discuss the South Sudan conflict. The U.S. State Department says al-Qaeda and its affiliates continue to present a serious threat to the United States and its allies. The State Department's annual report on terrorism says losses in al-Qaeda's core leadership in Pakistan and Afghanistan have accelerated the network's decentralization. It says that's resulting in more aggressive affiliates, particularly in Yemen, Syria, Iraq, Northwest Africa, and Somalia. The report says Iran remains a major state sponsor of terrorism and continues to defy demands that prove its nuclear ambitions are peaceful. State-run Chinese media say a terrorist attack on a railway station in western Xinjiang province killed 3 people and wounded 79. Police say the attackers slashed people with knives and set off a bomb apparently between the station exit and a bus stop in the capital of Urumqi. There's been no claim of responsibility for the attack. A new study suggests China's economy grew faster than previously thought, leading some analysts to predict that China could surpass the United States as the world's biggest economy by the end of the year. The figures are released Wednesday in a report by the International Comparison Program, which is part of the United Nations. Using its latest data, which calculated living costs in 2011, the program said China's purchasing power parity was 20% higher than its previous estimate in 2005. India's national election resumed Wednesday. Anjana Pasricha has details.
Despite soaring summer temperatures, enthusiastic crowds turned out to vote in the western state of Gujarat, the home state of Bharatiya Janata Party Prime Ministerial candidate Narendra Modi. After casting his vote in a school in Ahmedabad city early Wednesday, Modi flashed victory signs to cheering supporters. The man, who polls say could be India's next Prime Minister, exuded confidence, saying the elections will end the rule of Congress Party President Sonia Gandhi and her son Rahul Gandhi. Gujarat was among 9 states and territories in which 89 constituencies went to the polls Wednesday. Anjana Pasricha, New Delhi.
The 2 remaining stages of India's 9-stage poll ends on May 12th. And the aerial search for that missing Malaysian jetliner is officially over. Military aircraft leaving the area of the Indian Ocean where the plane was believed to have crashed, but submersible vehicles searching a much larger area of the ocean floor will continue. I'm Ray Kouguell, VOA News.